Okay, hopefully we got these bugs worked out of the system here today. Let me know if you guys can hear me now. Hopefully everything's worked out. Let's check this out. Is everything better for you? Kim, can you hear me now? Good evening, everybody. Kim, can you hear me, Kim? Hello there. Kim, can you hear me? Ken, can you hear me, Ken? Good evening. Ken, are you able to hear me, Ken? Chelsea, good evening, Chelsea. Can you hear me, Chelsea? Chelsea, you okay? Trying to work out the system here. We got little bugs going on tonight. It was working well Friday. I had to change things around, so I'm trying to see what the system is. Deborah, good night. Good evening, Deborah. You hear me? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I'll wait for some more people to get online. We got an interesting night tonight. There's going to be some interesting information I'm going to give out. That's going to be unusual. So I'm going to wait for Kim and a couple other people to get back online. So this is going to be very interesting. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in who's online right now. How's everybody doing tonight? How is everybody's holiday? How's your January going so far with all this snow we've been getting? You might be able to hear the police scanner I have in the background. I don't know, but I try to listen to it when I'm downstairs and in the basement here. It's kind of interesting. There's a lot of interesting things that go on all night long. So this is my little smoking area. I get to smoke downstairs in the basement. So Eileen, how you doing tonight? As you may be well aware, I'm not going to be the usual type of person doing shows here. So it's totally going to be totally different here. Anybody who knows me knows I'm not the typical kind of person. So everything's going to be totally different with me. So if you haven't watched before, I just want to let you know what you're into. I smoke, I drink, I yell, I scream. So it's totally different. Hazel's watching tonight. She's upstairs. Melinda, how you doing? I hope everybody could hear me okay. I had to make some adjustments. I don't know what's going on with my computer system tonight. Earlier, it was working fine. But as I'm watching myself on my laptop down in front of me, the system seems to be freezing up as I am speaking. So something is going on here. Bob, how you doing tonight? Bob's having a hard time making... Bob, but I can see your comments, Bob. So you're doing all right. He's having a hard time making comments, but I can see it though, Bob. So Kim, perfect. Thank you, Kim, very much. Very much, Kim. Thank you very much. I'm waiting for Vanessa to get online. I don't know if she's online yet. Vanessa's like my research analyst type thing. It's not lagging on our end. Good, good. I'm glad. If you don't mind, I'm going to step off the scene here for a second. I have to get my charging cord, plug in the phone so I can charge it while I'm doing this. So give me about 2 seconds to grab the charging cord so I can plug it in to the phone while I'm using this. So hold on 1 second, please. There we go. Everything all right? Can you still hear me fine? Matthew, how you doing? Okay, I want to make sure everybody can hear me before I start the show tonight. Am I coming across okay? All right, I'm going to start the show tonight. So, no volume down again. Are you serious, Kim? You can't tell me the volume is down again, Kim. Yeah, let me do this. Hold on 1 second, Kim. Let me see. Hold on. Hold on a second, Kim. There. Is that better now, Kim? Can you hear me? Better? How's this? Everybody okay? Everything all right? I want to start this show now, so hopefully everybody can hear me fine. All right, Unfiltered with James Feeney is created solely for informational and entertainment purposes. The views and opinions expressed by the host, James Feeney, and any guest are their own and do not represent any organization, employer, or affiliate, past or present. Nothing discussed on this podcast should ever be interpreted as professional, legal, medical, or expert advice. Listeners are strongly encouraged to verify information independently and seek qualified professional guidance when necessary. This show is intentionally raw, direct, and unapologetic. If that makes you uncomfortable, this may not be the podcast for you to listen to, so listen at your own risk. So, good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. First of all, I want to thank everybody for who's been following me weekly. I'm going to make a couple of announcements here. I will be doing a podcast show every Wednesday at 7:30, and Fridays will be the Friday Follies at 7:30, where we'll have two special guests every Friday. I believe Matt and Victor will be coming back on Fridays, so that's going to be entertaining as well. I talked to Matthew, and he is going to be a regular guest on Fridays for me. So we're going to enjoy this one. I'm going to find out if Victor can't make it, we'll fill in with somebody else. So we're going to wind up working something out on Fridays. Yes, Kim, yay, I'm happy about that. So Friday Follies is going to be entertaining. This Friday, we will be making a special announcement, and I'm not going to say what it is, but we will be presenting a certain something to just, we have a surprise. That's all I'm going to say. I have a surprise to present to my listeners this Friday. So make sure you stay tuned for Friday, starting at 7:30 for Friday Follies. And I got the name from Kim. So I want to thank Kim for the name of Friday Follies. And we made a special logo for Friday Follies. I'm going to wind up getting shirts made up just for that. And I thank you, Kim, for that. Friday is going to be very entertaining, let's say. So it's going to be very interesting on Fridays. I'm going to enjoy this. So every Wednesday at 7:30, I will be here with some information about what's going on weekly in the city. Good news, bad news, whatever it is. And in this city lately, there's no good news like bad news, I guess. So, and then on Fridays is going to be entertaining with the Friday Follies, where we're just going to rip it apart and just let it go. But there was a couple things that happened this week. The news was out again on 134th Street. Channel 19 came out, did a story about that water leak that's been happening for quite a while. And they showed a video of that water leak. And, I give those residents credit for living out there on that street and putting up with that shit daily. Apparently it's been leaking like that for quite a while, maybe weeks, maybe a month or so, if not longer. Those residents on there have to put up with this like this, and I've said this daily. I've said it every show, and I've said this when I was campaigning. We pay the second highest amount of taxes in the county. We deserve better than this. To live like that, to where some residents can't even get out of their driveway, is totally, totally uncalled for. So what they did on the news, they did a great story. The gentleman who did that, I can't remember the reporter's name, but he did a fantastic job. It was just that the residents who have to put up with that shit daily is totally uncalled for. And for our administration to ignore this. And the problem is that they keep pointing fingers. Well, it's not my job. It's this person's job. It's the water company job. And, you know, passing the buck back and forth has got to stop. And that's the problem in the city. We need somebody to step up that's going to say, okay, I'm going to do it. Let me take responsibility. Let me take the reins and see what I can do. And that's what we lack. We lack true leadership in this city. And as long as we keep lacking the leadership in this community, things will never get better. Things are never going to change. I know if anybody noticed, see, that picture there is Hazel when she was a little kid. You know, then she a cutie pie. Look at that. That was Hazel when she was a little baby. You know, but as long as people don't step up, I'm talking about the administration now, people. We need city council. We need the mayor. We need someone. But everybody's afraid to step up. People like Mel have to live on that street and deal with this daily. And I don't know how long it's been going on, maybe weeks, maybe month, maybe 2 months. But it's like that incident on 126th in McCracken. People have to live like this. It's uncalled for. And it's a shame that you can't get nobody to do anything in this city unless you involve the news. We should not have to go that far to involve the news in order to get shit done. And that's what I've been trying to tell people. You should not have to go this far to get attention. Calling the news should be the last resort. At least they got it going where they finally fixed it. Yeah, Ross, I agree. I'm glad it's fixed. That's out there by you. I am so glad it's fixed for you. You don't have to go way out of your way just to get from point A to point B. I'm happy. But my whole point is, you shouldn't have had to go this far to contact the news to get attention to something the city already knew about. This could have got fixed without having to bring attention to Garfield Heights to say, hey, look at our shitty city. Look at our administration. They're not doing nothing for us. That street would never have gotten looked at if the news didn't get involved. We know this. We know this 100%. Now, Mel Street, nobody's going to do anything. Now the news got involved. Watch how fast people jump and get things fixed. It's sad that you have to do this and go this far to get things done. You should not have to do this, is what I'm trying to tell people. You should not have to involve the news just to get things done. You should be able to pick up your phone, call your council person, call the mayor's office, which is damn near impossible to get a hold of the guy. Email somebody and get a response back within a reasonable amount of time. Now, a reasonable amount of time should be within the next day. I would call Calova's office. I'd call his cell phone, and he'd call me back that day. I called Councilman Joe Suster, God rest his soul. I really missed the guy. He'd call me back that day. Councilman Mike Nananovich calls me back that day. Councilman Mike Dudley would call me back that day. Councilman Frank Tagliarini calls me back that day. You know, these people took their job serious. We don't have anybody taking their job serious anymore. And that's the biggest problem. We need people like the Frank Tagliarinis who took their position serious. Now, I'm getting into the topic of today, and that's why I'm talking about this right now. Okay, so the people are not taking their job serious. First of all, they don't even know what the hell they're supposed to be doing. Okay, let's talk about Councilman Frank Tagliarini in Ward 6 before he was there for over a year or something. He didn't win the re-election, which I really wish he did, because he really knew his shit. guy knew more about the building department than anybody you could imagine. He knew about zoning. He knew about the code. He knew everything. Okay? So he was the kind of guy you would want to talk to when it comes to codes and zonings and stuff. He knew it all. We have nobody that could give you an answer right away because they don't know. And that's a problem. People, open your eyes. That's a problem. When you call a department, you can't get an answer right away because nobody knows. Isn't that screwy? That's crazy. That is so messed up right now. Nobody has an answer. We used to go to council meetings, go on the floor, ask a question, and you get an answer. You get an answer right away because they knew what they were talking about. Now we'll get back to you. We'll get back to you. Or they all look at the mayor for an answer. It's like everybody is afraid to stamp their name to an answer. Yeah, Deborah, it's a sad reality. It is really sad. We don't have no real, how do you say, representation in this city. And, you know, I'm putting myself on the line here. I am a huge target in this city. I don't give a shit. Perfect example. Last week, and like I said, this conversation is leading up to my topic for tonight. I'm just giving you examples. Last week, Wednesday, was it, Kim? Wednesday, we had that snow ban, right? That was last week, Wednesday. We had that big thing, snow ban. So, you know, move your cars. What's that, Matt? Or we'll get back to you. That's, yeah, because they are controlled. Yeah, they are controlled. So, yeah, so last week, Wednesday, they had that big snow ban. Move your cars, like Kim told me, you know. Move your cars off the street. They're going to ticket and tow. Ticket and tow. That's what I heard. Kim was like, they're going to ticket and tow. Ticket, tow. Ticket, tow. And I told Kim they ain't doing shit. And we know this. So we have a short driveway. Everybody knows where I live in this city. So we have a short driveway. We can't park our car in the garage because the driver's side door faces the concrete wall. So you cannot get out the driver's side door. So that's why we get a parking permit so we could park on the street. So anyways, so I squeezed all 3 cars into the driveway. You know, I follow the rules, you know, follow the rules. And so Kim's like, calls me, sends me a text message, and she's like, Jim, there's a parking ban. I said, okay, well, they ain't gonna do shit. But anyway, so I was like, okay, I'll move the cars. I'll put them on the driveway, you know, no problem. So I get there and I put it there, and I was like, my neighbor's car is still in the street. And I knew the city's not gonna do nothing anyways. So I took a picture of my neighbor's cars. And I was like, here, click. I said, and I think I went on the page and I was like, here's the neighbor's car, blah, blah. And I'm coming back in the morning, taking a picture again, and I guarantee he's not going to be gone. So I wake up in the morning, his car's still there. I shit you not. His car is still there, buried in snow. Matter of fact, there were 3 extra cars. So now there's 4 cars and nobody has a parking permit, first of all. And it's a parking, you can't park on the street. So that should be 4 tickets, 4 tows. According to them, can't park on the street, parking ban, ticket, and tow. Not 1 ticket, not 1 car towed. So I call my council person, Rochelle Thompson. And, Kimball came by Thursday, and Kimball could not get to my garbage cans because the neighbor's car was there. and Kimbo didn't take my garbage can, which I don't blame Kimbo because East 85th, there was one guy that went postal. Yeah, but so Kimbo couldn't take my garbage cans, and I don't fault them. I wouldn't expect the guy to get out of his truck to grab the garbage cans, wheel them, and stuff. So anyways, I called Rochelle Tonsing, and I was bitching to her, my council person, you know. I called her, I think, like 2 or 3 times, you know. Everything goes to voicemail now. Nobody wants to pick up their phone. I think I'm the only one that picks up my phone in this whole country. So anyways, so she calls me back, and I tell her, I said, Rochelle, remember that pointless parking ban we had? And it was pointless, people. It was pointless. I don't care if they towed 5 cars or 6 cars or whatever. They had 4 cars in front of my damn house they could have towed. They didn't even ticket them. So that's whatever. So she goes, yeah. And I said, well, Kimbo couldn't get to my garbage cans because there was cars there in the way. Okay, read chapter 351 of Codified Ordinance about parking regulations. Vanessa, you and I went over this left and right. You're right. So she said, well, she's emailed the captain, complained to the captain about it, and she's waiting for them to get back to them, whatever. So the police officer came back, and I took pictures of him out there, and he's brushing off the guy's car looking for a parking temporary tag, no tag. So he went, knocked on the door, excuse me, nobody was home, and apparently they got a hold of the guy and told him, they gave him 24 hours to move the car. Now look at this. There was a parking ban. You're not even supposed to be on the street with your car. And they still gave him 24 hours to move his damn car. Now, the guy has no license plates. The car's not insured. No stickers, no temporary tag, no nothing. And they still give this guy 24 hours. Now, according to the Ohio law, okay? This is Ohio's law. I don't give a shit what Garfield Heights says. This is Ohio's law. You are not allowed to have a vehicle on the street without plates, without tags, without a temporary tag. It is against the law of Ohio. Now, that cop should have went there and said, no temp tag, no license plate, call the tow truck, get this car out of the street. Instantly. Instantly. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Plain simple. The car was registered. The car, when they ran the VIN number, came back to owner of somebody who lived in Cleveland. Cleveland, people. Must be in the garage if it don't have a tag. Yes. The guys, this kills me. Cleveland. This car's been sitting there for 7 friggin' months. 7 months. In the same damn spot. Has never moved. Broken window. A broken back window. For 7 months. My council person drives up and down that street to go to work every damn day. Every day. That car should have been towed. And the best part of it is, it's parked by a telephone pole where half the cars past a sign that says no parking. No parking. And half his cars past that sign. Ay, shit. If Garfield Heights gives anybody another ticket, guess what? You heard it from me first. Sue the shit out of this city. Okay? They let so many people slide. It's disgusting. They set a precedence right now. And they have been setting a precedence in the past by letting so many people break the law in this community. That if they give one person a parking ticket, I hope they turn around and sue this city. Because what they're doing is so disgusting. It just, my head just wants to explode. 4 cars with a parking ban. Not one ticket, not one got towed. So the guy comes back that night. Now this is oh, I gotta calm down. I really gotta calm down. So the guy comes home. He gets in his car, jump starts it, right? You know, he drives his car. No plates, no insurance. And he goes and he pulls it in his driveway. Oh my God. Now, if that guy would have by chance hit somebody else's car, he has no license plates, no insurance. Guess what? I looked it up. And this is no shit. If he turned around and hit somebody's car, and if that person found out the city knew about that car and did nothing about that car, so let's say Kim was driving down the street and that guy hit Kim's car, and Kim knew that the cops knew that car was there and breaking the law and did nothing about it, Kim, you'd be a millionaire because you could sue the shit out of the city. So this is coming up to my topic here, people. Okay? That's just a little incident that just recently happened. So why you got to ask yourself, if they know they're breaking the law. Yeah, he bought the car in April 2025. He never had a tag or plate. I know, Kim. I'm living right next door. I mean, I see it. I see this car. Oh, it's just, oh goodness. When you follow the law and you try to be a good citizen, a good resident of a community, and you see the shit that everybody else is doing and getting away with it, it just, my veins in my head just start popping out. The stress and tension just ooze out of my ears. It just drives me nuts. Okay? So if he would have hit somebody, and this is my whole point, if he would have hit somebody and destroyed their car, that person's insurance, they're gonna go after his insurance? He has no insurance. It does boggle the mind. I would have ran out there if he hit somebody, and I would have told that other car, be like, sue the city because they knew this car was here. They didn't take it off the street. And you know what? Get every penny you can. Because they let this guy break the law. Plain and simple. Yeah, I'm a cold-hearted, ruthless bastard. What can I say? Because I have to live by the law. Kim is living by the law. Matt's living by the law. Everybody else in this city has to obey the laws. But then when something like this happens with the possibility of causing more problems, I just don't understand it. You know what, people? Thank God, Bob Imka, if not mistaken, the state pays. You know, thank God. I'm actually kind of glad I am not mayor in this city, because I would not have one car illegally parked in this whole city. 8 times it was called, yeah. I would not have one illegally parked car in this city. Because I would have had residents call me directly, and I would have called the police officers, and I would have been like, you towed that vehicle. Get it the hell off this damn street. I wouldn't play games. My daughter, this is the funny part. Now this really, you know, at the time I was pissed. I mean, I was yelling and screaming. But my daughter has a parking permit, and she got a ticket for parking on the street. She's got a parking permit, and it happened twice, people. Twice. So I had to take it to the police department, and they had to call. They actually came down to make sure she has a parking permit. I was like, don't you guys have a system to where it tells you somebody's got a parking permit? It's screwed up. But so that's that. But that leads me up to my current story I want to talk to you about. Service department demanded it be towed but it wasn't. Yeah, you know what, Kim, I'm going to tell you something. I would say service department horse shit. All right. It was me bothering my councilwoman, and I do believe it was because Rochelle Thompson kept hounding them and the police department to get it looked at. Okay. If they demanded it would have been towed, it should have been towed. If they didn't tow it, it's on them. And we had a plan for that, and it would have brought, oh, Vanessa, our plan for towed vehicles would have brought so much revenue into this city. This city would have been swimming in money. We'd have been swimming in money. Wayne, how you doing tonight? No, you know what, Wayne? It's not by towing vehicles. You know, it's more to it than just that. You know, how do you think he's still mayor, not by towing cars? No, it's not that. This is coming to my story, Wayne. Why this story I just told tonight leads up to the main conversation. Okay, this is just one of the incidents that's been going on, okay, along with the water main breaks, along with the juvenile violence. It's not towing vehicles, okay. That's not the main issue, okay. It's the 10 minor leaks that lead to the main leak, if that makes sense. I don't know, Wayne, if that makes sense to you. I think this is the first time you and I actually talked, Wayne. I don't know. It's like it's like 1 leak, then 2 leaks, and 3 leaks, and more leaks. It's like they keep getting more and more leaks in the city, and things just get worse and worse and worse. It's not just one issue. Does that make sense to you, Wayne? It's just things just keep building and building that make things, explode and get worse. Nice meeting you, Wayne. I'm glad, you tuned in. But what I'm trying to say, does that make sense? You got 10 fingers, you got 10 holes in the dike, and you keep getting holes, and eventually you can't plug the holes fast enough because they keep popping one after one after one. I mean, it's just, that's the way it is. Kalova had a plan. Kalova had, how could I say, Kalova had people that was willing to, he had a good support team. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Mel, people have been saying that we need to vote them out, but it's, the people spoken. I don't dwell on that. I don't dwell. The election's over. I lost. Big deal. I don't care. It don't matter to me anymore. Kalova had a great support team. He had a great people. But the thing that makes Wayne, this is directed nobody else here, strictly towards Wayne. Okay. The one thing that makes Kalova different than our current mayor, Wayne. Okay. Kalova was not afraid to ask for advice. He was not afraid to reach out to residents and speak to them, whether he liked them or not. Kalova did not walk around thinking his shit did not stink. Kalova did not walk around thinking he was better than everybody. I dealt with Vic Kalova many times through our nonprofit organization, through one-on-one as a friend. There's many times I met Vic Kalova for coffee, met him, we sat down, just BS'd and talked and stuff. Okay, so that's the difference between Vic Kalova and our current mayor, is Kalova would delegate authority. He would ask people, say, hey, look, would you be willing to help me do this? Or would you be willing to do this? He was not afraid to reach out to residents, whether they voted for him or not. Our current mayor right now won't even speak to me, and I've known him for 25 years. So what does that tell you? He'll walk right by me at a casino, or if he sees me anywhere, God, I can barely ever see the man. Matter of fact, even at Halloween, I saw him out somewhere. Yeah, Jim, that's it. The guy won't even shake my hand. Now, what kind of public figure will ignore a resident, a taxpayer, like that? You know what I'm saying, Wayne? That is not it. I was always told, okay, and I was told by my friends who are politicians in the Philippines and other places, that whether you like somebody or not, at least recognize them, at least say hello. So you should at least turn around. You're a mayor of a city. You should at least turn around and acknowledge that resident, whether you know whether they ran against you, they didn't run against you. I mean, we have somebody who sued this city like 4 or 5 damn times, and he'll turn around and shake his hand, but he'll spit in my hand, so to speak. Not saying he did spit in my hand, he didn't do that, but you know what I'm saying? So Wayne, what kind of leadership role, what kind of leader does that show he is? When you've known somebody and the funny part is, I helped him campaign when he was on city council. I helped him get signatures. So that's the funny part. I mean, I could go into more detail about personal stuff, but I won't do that. But the point is, I'll save that for Friday Follies. But the point is, as a city official, whether you're a city councilman or a public or mayor or whatever, you say hi. I have his chief of staff sees me out in public more than the mayor does, and the chief of staff will at least say hi to me. The law director will say hi to me. Well, the former law director, Riley, will say hi to me if he sees me. But he thinks he's better than everybody, and that's the problem. So you can't be a public official and think you're better than everybody. That is the wrong attitude to have, I guess. So, Wayne, I just hope I try to, explain a little bit better where my thinking is. I might be wrong. I could be wrong. But that's just my thinking. But let's get back onto the topic here. So tonight's topic, we're talking about all this stuff going on with the water main breaks and parked cars. He has no respect for residents. He is there for the money and getting his photo taken. You know what, Mel? You're not the only one that says that. So many people do say that. So, but tonight's topic was, I actually looked it up, and it's a rough path. It is hard, but it is possible. So you got to hear me out on this. Oh, my doggies are barking. Can you legally, now listen to me. Can you legally sue city council and the mayor for not doing their job? So chime in and tell me what you think. Vanessa, you don't count because I know you know this answer. So, can you legally sue city council, the mayor, and matter of fact, the police chief for not doing their jobs?
I know.
That's the question. Now, Haish, you don't count, Haish. You know the answer to. So that is the question of the night. Um, Vanessa, damn, yeah, I know. You can't answer this. Greg, Greg. You know, buddy, Greg. I like you, Greg. You're my buddy. You know, you're a Planet Fitness guy. Um, you know, honestly, I looked it up. Yes, there's a list that you have to go by. But yes, you could sue the mayor. You could sue the city council. You could actually sue the chief of police. Um, it is kind of interesting. I'll have to post that list online on my page here. I'll do that later today or tomorrow on my, James Unfiltered page so everybody can look at it. If you have evidence of neglect, of them purposely allowing city ordinances to be broken and laws to be overlooked, like I said, it's a long list. You can sue. You can't sue for like monetary damages, like for money and stuff like that, but you can file lawsuits against them. One of the big things is, for, what was that term they said? What is it called? What was that, Hazel? Do you remember? Failing to,
Do their job?
yeah. What was the legal term of that one? But anyways, it's pretty much for, they swore an oath to uphold their law. They swore an oath to do their jobs, and they're not doing their jobs. So pretty much you're whole, that's like one of the main ones. I can't sign off my phone to go look at what I typed up there. I forgot the name of the thing.
Malfeasance?
No, it's not that. Hazel's no good at remembering stuff either. So, but anyways, it's they're failing to uphold the law that they swore an oath to. That's all it is. They negligent of duty and stuff like that. So, yeah, but yes, you can. I looked it up, and on how law you can. It would come down to your interpretation of the law. Greg, you're right. It is that, but they say get a lawyer. A lawyer will look into it, but it is possible. You can sue the city. You can sue city council, and you can go after the department. But the thing is, it's easy to prove in our city that they are overlooking things because just go on the crime page. Its proof is right there. Like I said, perfect example. That car should have been towed.
Was legally allowed to be on the street.
Perfect example. How many times we see that people get, how can you say, a slap on the wrist and let go, They just get warnings. So we see it happening all the time in this city. It's just you got to keep a log of this stuff. When you swear an oath to uphold the law, that's your duty for the 2 years you took that oath. The mayor's 4 years. So they're negligent of their job. Pretty much they lied. Vanessa is correct. Yes. Kim, I'm already a target, so what the hell? It's just that you can do it. But they think residents in this city are a bunch of idiots, bunch of fools, and they can get away with whatever they want to do. And that's their biggest mistake. They play us for fools. But their biggest problem, I should say, is they always think they're better than us. They fail to realize they work for us. And I've said that so many times over and over. And if you go past the past videos I've had, I've said that over and over and over and over again. They work for us. They think it's the opposite. They think we work for them. And you know that's true, people. For everybody who's watching tonight, you know that's true. You know they think that we're supposed to work for them, that we're supposed to answer to them. So what is the reason why no laws are being enforced here? You know, Wayne, I could give you my own personal interpretation. But that's just my interpretation, Wayne. But I believe they don't want to enforce the laws because the ones breaking the laws are the ones voting for them. If the majority of the people that are breaking the laws are the ones that are your main voters who are voting for you, why would you want to go after them? Does that make sense? I mean, that's my interpretation. I could be wrong. I don't know. I could be wrong. Okay. It's easy to enforce the laws we have because the laws, our city administration follows a certain former president. Yeah. You can't be the nice guy, is what I'm saying. As a city official, you have to play hardball. We had Judge Straka, who people feared going in front of the man. You really have to, perfect example. You see somebody jaywalking, you give them a damn ticket. Illegally parking, you give them a ticket. You start enforcing the laws. You can't pick and choose who you're going to enforce the laws on. I'm an expert in engineering law, design, liability. Greg, I know you're a very smart guy. We've talked several times while we're working out. Yeah. But the city right now is picking and choosing who they want to enforce the laws on and when they want to enforce the laws. And that's the biggest problem. And that's what's going to get them in the biggest shithole. That's what's going to cause the most problems for this community. And they better wake up. And I'm trying to tell everybody that accountability is going to bite them in the backside. And they need to understand that. Kalova didn't play favoritism. This guy's, if you're on his side, he'll look the other way. Correct to enforce the laws at the direction of man. You have to enforce these laws. You can't just keep looking the other way. You have to draw the line and say enough's enough. The other day, I don't want to get off topic here, but the other day, one of our police cruisers got in an accident during a chase. And I believe the officer was injured, Kim. Is that true? So I hope everything's okay. I hate seeing that happen to anybody. I hate seeing any one of our first responders get injured. That's really heartening. Breaks my heart when that happens. I lost too many friends that way. So I hope he recovers or she recovers. I don't know. They know who will pay tickets and who won't. Wayne, you hit the nail right on the head, buddy. You hit the nail on the head with that one. I can't argue with that one. You know what? Yeah. You got that right, buddy. But so I hope that officer's okay. I hope they recover fast and get back to work. But I will tell you guys one thing. And I will say it right here, right now. While doing research, while campaigning, and Vanessa knows. I found a way, and I reached out and I told people, nobody wants to listen. I found a way to pretty much stop all police chases from ever leaving the city of Garfield Heights again. If they ever reached out to talk to me, which they won't do it. But there is something that I found that if you do it right, cops would never have to ever go on a high-speed chase and risk their lives or destroy a vehicle ever again on a high-speed chase outside of Garfield Heights. I went on record officially as of now to say it. So, but they will not reach out to me, so I don't give a shit. They're just not going to do it because their pride will get in the way. And unless it's their idea, they won't talk about it. And they want all the glory and fame for stuff because that's the way they are in this city. So, you know what, Greg? No. What I found will totally end all police car chases from ever leaving a city. Other cities outside the state of Ohio do use this system, and it is totally safe. It's a little pricey. You get grants for it and stuff like that. Vanessa's online. She can vouch for this. I've showed it to, I think, 3 police officers, and they were shocked and floored by it. They didn't even know something like this existed. But I'm going on record tonight to say, I'm tired of watching our police officers get injured on these high-speed chases because it's totally unnecessary. But our administration won't pull their head out of their asses to reach out to the residents of Garfield Heights to say, hey, what's your idea? So that's why I'm not worried about it. I'll say on record, but they won't reach out to me anyways because they got too much pride. So that's on them. So getting back to the topic of picking and choosing the laws they want to enforce and who they want to enforce them on. Frank, how you doing tonight? I hope Patty's doing well. My condolences go out to Patty. Hope everything's okay. But anyways, they're opening themselves up for lawsuits in this city. Lawsuits this city cannot afford. The grappler, grappler's a good idea, but it's honestly, it's still got its own flaws. The system I came up with, that I found, is 100% foolproof. So the system I have, Greg, one day if we ever get the chance to have coffee or something, I'll show it to you. But I'm not going to make it public. Let them do their own research and find it. I had to do research. It took me like a couple weeks to find this. So let them do their own research. But anyway, why would the city, my question to everybody watching is, why would a city pick and choose what laws to enforce, what laws not to enforce, to try and put themselves at risk of getting lawsuits from residents, which makes no sense. They knew that street on 134th had the problems with all that water leak and all the ice building up and stuff. Residents having all those problems. They knew of the problems on 126th over there by McCracken. They knew the problems there. They put the barrels up. They even put city vehicles blocking it. Okay, so they know all these problems. Okay, and so they're setting themselves up for all these lawsuits. And why? That's the question. Why? Why are they doing this? If somebody could explain this to me, why would a city it just makes no sense. Why would a city do this? Because it's just stupidity to set yourself up for these kind of lawsuits. If you read through the Google or whatever it is, look up lawsuits that Garfield Heights has settled. You'll be amazed how many lawsuits the city's had that they settled. It's unbelievable. This city seems like it's always getting sued, but for some reason. So why add to it? You know, if you could avoid unnecessary lawsuits, avoid it. That's my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's my opinion. Avoid all lawsuits if necessary. Don't add to the problems that we already have. Like the schools. The schools know we have these juvenile problems. The schools know that these games and the sporting events the juveniles cause problems. They know this stuff happens. Why are they not doing anything about it? You have all these fights breaking out during school. You have all the fights happening after school. These kids, the juveniles, are destroying local businesses along the Turney Road as they're walking home from school. The schools don't want to do anything about it. The city administration don't want to do anything about it. So they know these problems. So why are they so willing to overlook it? Their deniability is going to cost this city a ton of money. And we can't have this. We can't afford any more lawsuits, is what I'm saying. Frank says, I was told it was cheaper to settle than it was to fight a lawsuit, in most cases by the law department. Yeah, you know what? They do. You know, Wayne, the teachers get hazard pay for teaching in Garfield. You know what, Wayne? They get, I forgot what it's called. They get an assault leave. That's what it is, Wayne. Teachers in Garfield Heights, I found out from several teachers, they get an assault leave, I think it's called, that they get time off for when they get assaulted by a student. Now that's some crazy shit, to where they have to have a separate classification because they know they get assaulted by kids. There was a teacher that recently left, I think 2 years ago. I'm not going to mention her name. The bell rings. She goes into her class. Now, I saw the video. Okay, the video was out there. It was on the news. Okay, a friend of mine, Mike Mason, who's a reporter for 19 Action News, had this story, and the video was out there. He had the video he posted. She just walked into her class right after the bell rang. And student jumped her. Another girl jumped the teacher. Now, this teacher wasn't no skinny little 5'2" teacher, okay? I'm not saying she was big, 400-pound teacher, but she can handle herself, put it that way. She's a nice woman. I've met her. I've talked to her. She's a great woman. The bell just rang, okay? And this student jumped her as soon as she walks into the classroom. So when I was in school, if you touch a teacher, you get expelled. That's automatic. Gone, out the building. You're not coming back. Why are these kids not getting expelled? Well, I could tell you why. Because it's all about the mighty dollar. If you expel a kid from the city schools, they lose the government funding. Think about that. With all the fights in this city, the schools, I should say, with all the problems, and let's say they expelled 500 kids.
Expelled black kids.
That's 500 kids they're losing federal government funding for. They don't want that. That's money. So it all boils down to money when it comes to the schools. Like the $3.5 million computer glitch, right, Vanessa? So it's the money. So that's why, like the schools, in my opinion, allegedly, like Victor would say, allegedly, that's why they look the other way. And they want to deny things. When we met with the superintendent 2 years ago or so at the Dunkin' Donuts, and they had the coffee with superintendents, and we brought this up to him, And we said, look, I got the video. I told him, I said, I got the videos on my phone. I saved these videos. Do you want to look at them? His answer was, I don't have time to watch these videos. Now, he's a superintendent. My response to him was horseshit. I said, you should take these videos, go sit in the office with all the teachers, and pick out what kids these teachers know, because I guarantee they're high school kids. So these teachers should know who these kids are. Grab these kids, put them all in the gymnasium, have their parents come pick them up, and tell these parents they are no longer welcome in our school system. But for him to say, I don't have time to watch videos, and he's a superintendent of the school system, what does that tell you? It only tells you one thing. It's all about the money. Do, re, mi, period. No, they didn't get rid of him. I think they re-signed his contract. I'm not sure, because last year I think his contract was up, so he's still there. I don't know if they re-signed it, how long it's for, or nothing. I'm not sure. But it's all about the money, and that's the thing. So when money gets involved, people don't want to do things. They're willing to look the other way. When it comes to getting reelected, people look the other way. And that's why people don't like people like me, because I tell it like it is. I ruffle a ton of feathers. Everybody who's watching that knows me knows I ruffle feathers. And that's just the way I am. You just have to get used to me. It took my wife 35 years, and I don't think she's still used to me. Who can be voted out? The superintendent? Vanessa, you said who he can be voted out. Who? Who's that, Vanessa? Oh yeah, you're all right. People do get lazy when it comes to voting. I made a suggestion a while back that the mayor's election should coincide with the presidential election, because more people show up when there's a presidential election. I said, just give the mayor an extra year extension. You know, who cares? So he serves he'll get an extra year, so give him 5 years right away and get it over with. That way his mayor's elections, every year his election would be with the presidents. That way more people are showing up to vote, and they don't want that, because they want a low voter turnout. It's better for them to get reelected if you're in office. That's just a fact. That's the way it is. But I'd rather have it to where it's the same time as a mayor, as a president, as a governor, or something like that, where you get a high voter turnout for it. But they rather have it to where you have less people showing up, 4,000, 5,000 people, whatever it is. So that's just the way it is. I don't know. I think it's stupid, but yeah. So the question was, everybody, why would a city want to set themselves up for a lawsuit? He can be removed as superintendent, going to the main school board and letting the jurors do what they do. You know what, Bob? I called the State of Ohio Board of Education, and their answer to me, and this is true, their answer to me was they do not interfere with local city schools issues. That is exactly what they told me. Because I called the State of Ohio School Board of Education. I went to go file a complaint about Garfield High School systems, and they said they do not interfere with the way the local cities run their schools. And I was like, okay, then who do I complain to? They said, you have to complain to your local schools. And I said, but they're the ones I'm complaining about. So apparently nobody wants to do anything about it. So hopefully if the state takes over. I would love to see the state run the school system, but however it works, I don't know. Maybe it holds everybody more accountable. I don't know. I just think it needs to change, and it's just not right. So if you have nobody to complain to, then who do you complain to? You know, I mean, think about it. Like the city. You want to complain to the mayor, who are you going to complain to? City council? City council kisses his ass. So you can't, you want to file a complaint against the mayor for not doing his negligent of duty. Who are you going to complain to? You can't complain to city council about the mayor because city council's in his pocket. So who are you going to complain to? You can't complain to the ethics committee because they will not do nothing. We already know this. But Matthew, the state won't do nothing when it comes to the school boards. I already called them. We already talked to them. We had a lengthy conversation. They will not interfere with the way the city's schools are run. So that was their answer. It was one of those, here, we won't get involved. Thank you for calling. Have a nice day. Boom, bye. So the problem is nobody really wants to give you any answers. So that's why you go back to the water leak, 126th in McCracken. Go back to the water leak on 134th over there off of Granger. Nobody wants to give you answers. So what do? You get the news involved. That's how you get your answers. You don't want to go to the extreme to do that because nobody wants to give you answers. But then you have to do it. And it makes your city look bad. I went to Channel 19's website. And they posted a video about that water leak. And we're watching it. And the guy did a nice story about it. So to make matters worse in our city, Bobby Whipple goes on there and starts bitching to Victor Torres about something. Right? Man, you know, I blocked Bobby Whipple so I don't have to listen to his BS. So Victor sends it to me. And this is Channel 19's webpage. So under the video that they had posted, you know, you can comment on it, blah, blah, blah. And people from our own city are arguing on their Channel 19's webpage about that water leak, making us residents look like shit. We look like a bunch of idiots to Channel 19 because we're arguing amongst each other on their webpage. You got a fake account, a Bobby Whipple, which nobody even knows who this person is, starting arguments on a news channel's website, on their Facebook page, with residents of Garfield Heights. So what kind of shit is this? That person is making us look worse. We don't even know if they live here. Nobody even knows who this mystery person is, okay? It could be multiple bunch of people, so we don't know. But the problem is, so now we got residents arguing back and forth on a news channel's website, and I guarantee it, they're laughing at us because it's their page. And to be honest with you, I'm reading some of these comments, and I'm laughing at us too. We have enough problems in our city to where arguments like this makes us look worse. Exactly. I agree with my wife. People hide behind keyboards under these fake names. And I never use a fake name. I am here. I'm out in the open. And I tell people all the time, you know where to find me. You want to meet me? Give me a call. Send me a message. I'll meet you at McDonald's with a cup of coffee any day. But when you keep hiding behind a fake name and you're bashing people in this city, you're bashing whatever on some news website, it's making us look horrible. You know, it's someone that's sitting in the administration. You know, it could be Matt. We don't know who it is. You know, uh, I don't think too many people. No, Vanessa, nobody pays attention to him really anymore. But I'll tell you what's funny, Vanessa, is I made a comment on Channel 5's webpage. I made a comment on Channel 3's webpage. I made a comment on Channel 19's webpage. And this guy follows me everywhere, or this person, this stalker or whatever, follows me everywhere I go.
You follow me everywhere.
I got to the point to where I just had to block him. I blocked him. Twisted Sister, it could be. You know, yeah, it does make him look horrible. It does, Vanessa. I have to block people because I cannot go on certain web pages and just make comments, just a simple lousy comment. You know, I can say, oh, it's snowing outside, it's 2 degrees, it's cold, without people turning around and saying something nasty. So I have to block. If you look at my block list on Facebook, I probably got like 500 people on the block list. It's unbelievable. It's just, I get these comments, messages from people I don't even know, I never heard of. And I just automatically say, boop, block. I don't want to deal with it, you know, because the people are just outrageously stupid nowadays. But it's just weird because they follow me everywhere. Everywhere. I left the Nextdoor page because of this. It's just crazy, you know. So, but get back to the topic of the city. I would like somebody to explain to me, why would a city set themselves up for a lawsuit, which makes no sense to me. I would personally never do that. Right next to Bella, nothing was said, but when she's in it, yeah, you know, my wife's right. We sat right next to, hold on, let me step off screen for a second. Get my lighter fluid. We sat right next to Valentino and her husband. Excuse me. And they didn't say a damn word to us. Not nothing. Crickets. Chirp, chirp. Crickets. But yeah, but then when you go back to home and you get on the website, the internet, or whatever, I get text messages from people saying, "Oh, look what Debbie said about you," or Wendy said about you, or this person said about you. It's like, really? I just saw him like 10 seconds ago, or 5 minutes ago, or whatever, 20 minutes ago, and they don't say nothing to your face, you know. And I don't know if Wayne's still on here, but that's what I tell people. If you're gonna say something to me, say it to my face. I'll have more respect. I'd rather have somebody call me. I don't know how everybody else feels. I'd rather have you call me an asshole to my face. I'll respect you more in the morning than I will if you call me an asshole behind my back. I don't know if that makes sense to a lot of people, but to me, that's the way I am. I've always been that way. It's just that these people nowadays, I don't like a snake. I don't like a backstabber, however you want to call it, whatever you want to label them as. I don't tolerate that. It's just something I never liked. But they're good at it. They're very good at it. But like I said, Wayne, that's the way I've been, and that's why people say don't like me. And I'm proud to say that. People don't like me because I tell it the way it is. Wayne, we'll have to get together, maybe have a cup of coffee one day, so you could judge for yourself my personality. I got a rough personality, you know. I was born and raised to speak your mind. I'm the youngest of 11. Say what's on your mind. Don't hold back. And that's just the way it is. If people don't like what you have to say, they can either walk away or just take it. You know, that's just reality of life. I don't sugarcoat nothing. My family don't sugarcoat nothing. Um, the worst person to be around, in my opinion, is somebody who's going to tell you what you want to hear just to make you happy. That is the worst person in the world to have around you. Us Polish people tell it like it is, except for the... You know what? He's not Polish, Kim. That guy, the mayor's far from being Polish, man. Come on. Yeah, Wayne, we definitely got to get together at least once. Maybe have some coffee. You know, I mean, you might not want to sit next to me after that and have a cup of coffee, but no, but Kim, he's not Polish. Give me a break. That guy is, if the guy wasn't even a vet, you know, come on. All indications say he wasn't even a vet, allegedly, like Victor says, allegedly. So come on, you know. So what's the hell? You know, if he's Polish, I'm friggin' Thai, okay? So, yeah, it's just you have to do that. So, but anyways, so yeah, so like I was saying earlier, the city's setting themselves up for lawsuits by overlooking these laws. The state of Ohio says you can hold the city responsible for that. And I'm afraid that people are going to start holding the city responsible, and that's the way it's going to be. Plain simple. The city John put themselves in this situation, people, and unless they start opening up their eyes and start listening to what residents have to say, that makes me so mad when he calls himself a vet. That makes us true vets. You know what? My dad was in at the end of World War II, beginning of Korea, and I guarantee he's rolling over in his grave right now. Unless you have that, yep, on your side, you're not suing. You know what, Wayne? You know, yeah, the NAACP, yeah. Tim Misney, yeah. He'll make them pay. Trust me. He'll definitely make them pay. You know, it's unfortunate that you have to think along these lines, that the city's not protecting you as a taxpayer, as a resident. I've been to many cities to where their top priority is what's good for the residents. Yeah, he is a JCU alumni. Yes, I know. Hey, I've been to so many cities to where I've spoke to so many city officials that their top priority is making sure residents are taken care of. And I see this, and it's really nice when you see that. You know, everybody knows my wife's from the Philippines, and we go to the Philippines quite often. And I've talked to the mayors out there. Right. So I've talked to the mayor's a good friend of ours. The chief of police, he's a great friend of ours. We had a guy one time, we showed up at the airport. He was a colonel for the Army. He picked us up. He met us at the airport.
General.
Or the general, sorry. The general for the Army picked us up. Great friend of my father-in-law's. So it was nice when you get to bypass customs and stuff. You get spoiled like that. So we've met and we've known a lot of great people, but they treat everybody with respect. Mike Dudley, Frank, you're right, was a great councilman. You know, these guys cared. That's why, and that's my point. These people with a position of power, whether they're in the military or they're real, I'm talking about real mayors, real city officials, the people I met in the Philippines, they care. They take care of their people, and they take care of their residents, and they get out there. I follow the mayor on Facebook in the Philippines, and there's not a day that goes by that he is not out there in the city with the residents, dancing at parties, going to birthday parties. He goes to birthday parties of the residents. When a resident has a birthday party, he's there. He's bringing gifts. He's out there drinking and hanging out with the residents. Now that's a mayor. That's a city official. He wants to be out there with the people. Shows up at birthdays, shows up at funerals. He shows up at graduations. He's there, there. So these people, they actually care about the residents. So when you have those kind of officials, of course they're going to keep getting reelected because they show the residents that they actually care about them. And that's what our city's lacking. We lack true officials that really care. We had it at one time. We had Mike Dudley. We had Nananovich. We had Councilman Chuck Donahue. We had one Frank, even though it was way too short for Frank, but we had Frank. I'm trying to think, who else did we have on there on city council at the time? But we had the guys on city council, and they actually cared about the residents. You know, I think that was a story with Frank where one of the residents was complaining of broken glass on their sidewalk, and I think Frank actually went out there and swept it up. You know, go tell your city council person now you have broken glass. Matt, James Feeney from Matt. You know what, Matt? That's out the window, buddy. I'm done with that one. Go call your city councilman and tell him you need help taking your garbage can out, or guess what? They're not helping you. Back in the time when Joe Suster, God rest his soul, and Mike Nananovich and Mike Dudley and them were on city council, you could get things done. Now, city council will call me a racist, call you a racist because you don't agree with them. Debbie called you on the broken glass, yeah. But you went out there and did it. That's the point. You went out there to do it, to clean it up. You didn't have to do that shit. But you went out and did it. Try to call city council now. They won't even pick up their phones. Nobody picks up their phones. Everything goes to voicemail. Why get phones if everything goes to voicemail? You know, so it's city council of the old times is gone. The new city council now is totally, how could I say politely, dead. The best way to put it. But I do give props out to Rochelle Tonsing. Rochelle did help me a lot when it came to the so-called car that was there. But I still can't get over why the city didn't tow it. You know, you got like you said, you got this parking ban. The city's supposed to get rid of it. So you get people that are, you know, supposed to have a parking ban, cars out on the street, and then you're going to let people just park their car on the street and not do nothing about it. So the first time I don't pull my vehicle and I get a ticket, I'm going to take that ticket, I'm going to tape it to the window of the police department and tell them they can pay it because I'm not paying it. You know, the city is gonna rot. I mean, because they're letting people break the laws. Plain simple, Matt. They do have security at the schools. Yes, they do, Wayne. They do have security at the schools. But the metal detectors ain't worth shit. When I told the story the other day, I went to the school to an appointment with one of the people that worked there. I went there around 12:30, 1 o'clock. I signed in at the office. Everybody knows me in that building. And they said, do you know where his office is at? I said, yeah. They said, okay, you can go. I walked, nobody was at the metal detectors. I walked right around the metal detectors, right through the doors, walked right past the cafeteria that was loaded with kids to go to the guy's office. I was like, well, I'm glad they trust me enough to know I'm not some lunatic, okay? The metal detectors weren't even plugged in. So why have them? They look pretty. So that's my whole point, Wayne. You got metal detectors, it's just for show and tell. But I found out how these kids are getting weapons in schools anyways. I talked to a couple people that work at the school system, and I found out how these kids are still getting these knives and stuff, these weapons into the school system, and they're bypassing the metal detectors by doing it this way. So I found out how they're sneaking this in. And, you know, if the school wants to know, come talk to me. It was so logical when the people that worked at the school, friends of mine, and they were like, this is what they found out. And I was like, well, no shit. Wow. I was amazed. I was like, that makes sense. So having metal detectors don't work unless you have them plugged in. And everybody walks through. I don't care if you know me and the schools trust me. I don't care. That's not the point. The point is everybody walks through it. I don't care if St. James came down from heaven and go through the metal detector. Plain simple. That's what it's there for. The taxpayers pay good money to have that metal detector there for a reason. You just can't just have it there for show and tell. You don't just use it when you want to use it, and that's what I'm saying, Wayne. So it's worthless if you don't. So, but yeah, they do have security though, Wayne. They do have security at the schools. But then again, it's metal detectors are your front line of defense there. They have to go through it. I don't know if every kid's going through it. I'm not there. I don't think they're going to let me go there to stand and watch, It's just that there's so many wrongs, and that's what I was telling you earlier, Wayne. There's so many holes in the system that's making it the mayor's problem, that's making it the superintendent's problem. That's what's making it worse. It's not just the parking issue. So you see where this is all going? It's all the little problems that add up to the massive big problem. So that was my whole story for tonight. It's all these little issues that are going on in our community that's adding up to the major issues that we have to deal with. And the major issue is going to be that it's going to cost us a ton of money to get out of these problems. And where are we going to get this money? Think about it, folks. Where are we going to get this money at? Somebody's going to have to raise taxes. If that if that courthouse does not leave Garfield Heights and goes to Newburgh Heights like they said, where are we going to get the money for that courthouse? I could tell them. I could definitely tell them what they can do, but nobody's going to reach out to me. So I ain't worried about telling them nothing now. But where are we going to get stuff? It's just the matter of pride in this city administration, especially when the jail on Turney is falling down. Kim, that jail on Turney Road, I walked through there with Frank Taggart. Frank, you're watching still, Frank? We walked through there from the damn near from the roof to the basement. We've been downstairs. We saw where they kept the bikes that were stolen, and there were some antique bikes there. Trust me. We saw the gun range that they have downstairs, which is an embarrassment. It's an antique, old, nasty-looking range for the police officer to use. Uh, there were buckets at the time lined up down by the jail. There must have been like 10, 12 buckets catching water. Um, and from my sources telling me it's a lot worse. It's disgusting. There were holes in walls. I tried looking for the pictures I've taken. I can't find the pictures. Maybe Frank might have the pictures. Frank, if you still have those pictures, forward me those pictures you've taken and I will post them online so people can see what the jail was like at the time. I don't know what it's like now, but I will post and say these are pictures of what the jail was like. Frank, yes, send me those pictures, please. If you could text me those pictures, you know my phone number. I will post them on my James Unfiltered page and let everybody know this is what the jail was like. I would like to take a walk through and take current pictures. And I will ask the chief of police if I could go take a walk through and take current pictures because I would like to compare before and after. There were holes in the wall. There were carpets worn. I mean, it was disgusting. And we promised the chief at the time that we would not post these pictures. Is that, and Frank, you can verify that because you know it's true. But carpets were torn up. It was a complete mess. So we never did post these pictures because we promised them that we were not going to post those pictures. We were going to keep them for ourselves. It was so funny because the one captain at the time who's retired, as he was taking us back to the jail, he actually looked at me and I started laughing. He said, "Jim, you got your gun on you? You want me to lock it up?" And I started laughing. I was like, I can't bring it into the police station. And he's like, "Oh, that's right. That's right." He's like, "I'm so used to knowing that you have your gun with you. And I forgot." And I was like, "No, it's locked up in the car." So, but, anyways, I'm going to be turning off for the night. I want to remind everybody to tune in Friday night at 7:30. Frank, I would appreciate you send me those pictures, please, sometime this week whenever you get a chance. So like I said, I want to remind everybody, please tune in Friday night at 7:30 for Friday Follies, where we're going to have Victor and we're going to have Matt watch as guest. And I have a special presentation to present on Friday, which is going to be an unusual presentation that's going to really be shocking. Friday Follies, you got it right, Kim. Friday Follies is going to be this Friday at 7:30. It's going to be every Friday at 7:30. Okay, Wayne. Wayne, do you have my email address or reach out to me on Facebook Messenger? Or if you know what, Wayne, if you wanted to, give me a call, 216-856-4036. Send me a text message, okay? 216-856-4036, Wayne. Send me a text message and we'll get together as soon as I can. I don't know what my weekends are, usually with the grandkids and stuff. So I'll try to get it together. We can meet at like McDonald's on Turney Road or something to have some coffee. That'd be great. I'd like to meet you at least. Get to know, put a face with a name. So, but tune in Friday for Friday Follies. We're going to make a special presentation. It's a surprise. It's going to be a huge, huge surprise. Kim, this surprise is going to have you laughing so hard you're going to fall off your couch. So strap yourself in, Kim. Vanessa knows what it is, and she's definitely going to love this one when I present it to everybody. So, like I end all my podcast things with, my number, it is 216-856-4036. Good night, Matt. Have a good night. Thanks for tuning in. You got it, Wayne? So tune in Friday night. No problem. Tune in Friday night, 7:30, for Friday Follies, to where we're going to have a special presentation. And this one's definitely going to knock the socks off of everybody in this community. And it's going to involve all you listeners. Everybody watching Friday night at 7:30 is going to be involved. Good night, Ross. Thanks for tuning in. And I want to thank everybody. And like I end all my shows, remember, everybody, it's better to beat a rider than it is to beat a donkey. And we have a lot of donkeys in Garfield Heights. Thank you. Stay blessed. Good night.